My legs carried me back up to the foyer, looking around for Benson. He was the only lead I had left, but I was worried that he'd just tell me he knew nothing. Benson? Are you there? Silence echoed across the foyer, and as I looked, I noticed movement outside. Benson? He looked slowly, quirking a brow.
Is everything all right?
I looked past him to the trees, then behind me to the house. I made sure we were alone. I need to ask you something. It's important.
Heavens, my boy, what's the matter?
This is going to be a bit odd. Do you remember every visitor Osmond has had, like, in the past year? Wait. Sorry, it just caught up with me that something didn't make sense again about Thanatos. I guess we've hand-waved all it away as Thanatos was just fucking with us, but when we said that he said he needed to go somewhere, and then like, why don't you just go yourself? Like, it would take me forever, fucking carry me. He didn't need to go anywhere. The goal was to talk to us somewhere else. There was no going somewhere for any. He didn't need to be carried anywhere for that purpose.
Yeah,
that was just a retroactively nonsensical line. But I guess we've hand-waved it all as like just fucking with us.
He's just being a little baby. He wants to be baby.
What
he
a
wants
goober!
To be carried.
Dang, what a dang goober. It's going to be a bit odd, but do you remember every visitor Oswin had like in the past year?
There's something just deeply funny about just saying that.
His face stiffened, looking me over.
Indeed.
So, I know, I guess, that my parents were here.
I can't believe this guy just doesn't have a spine. I can't believe how little fight Dave has put up about this. It's just a profound revelation. And he's like, if it's not inconvenient, would you know? It's like, grow a pair.
How could you possibly know that?
From my pocket, I pulled out my dad's license and handed it over to Benson for him to look at. He handed it back soon after with a sigh.
Forgive me, Dave. I was informed by Oswin to not bring it up given the circumstances that brought your parents to our door.
Why were they here? Neither of them had said anything about visiting before, and Dad shared everything with me as far as I know.
They were experimenting to help fix their marriage.
I'm sorry to say that he'd been here on more than one occasion. He was most certainly keeping things from you.
Ah.
As for why they were here, your father wished to converse with Oswin regarding something he was looking into. For the most part, they weren't shy about discussing things in the dining room while I served refreshments, but...
He trailed off, turning instead to look out the trees for a moment.
Regarding certain matters I'm not privy to, they retreated to his lab for extended periods of time to discuss things, all of which grave, I'm sure.
What makes you say that?
You get used to picking up on these things. Dave, as an assassin, as a butler, a father. And those who care about start thinking the worst, you can tell.
The deeply relatable experience of being an assassin.
Just what a sentence to say. As an assassin. As a father. But then, did you ever ask?
What was there to ask? Whenever Mr. Holloway came by after the first visit, both of them knew something they didn't want others to know. Some dark secret that ultimately led to the worst possible outcome for your father.
I whined, shuffling closer to stand beside Benson as we looked out into the yard. So, they knew?
That the road they walked led to death? Yeah, almost certainly.
What?
Last time I saw your father, Oswin did something he's only done 2 other times after he left.
What did he do?
He drank. He drank until the first bottle was empty and the second was halfway through. He was a fool, but he was hurting and coping as he knew how.
You didn't stop him?
You must understand, my boy. Were holding a gun to his head a solution, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
What? That's not
In
a
truth,
normal
the day
reaction.
No, Dave asked if you talked to him. Come on, dude.
Jesus Christ.
In truth, the day everything went awry with his medical trial, I could barely make out what he was saying through his sobs. He genuinely cares, maybe too deeply. Or once did, I should say.
Benson, I'm sorry.
Come now, my boy. It's my job to be apologizing for hiding this from you.
What about my
He
mother?
was caught.
Oh, yes. Carol.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Truth be told, she reminds me a lot of Tyson. Brutish and brash when she wants to be, although a stark contrast to how she was when she arrived the night she did.
Her and Oswin talked, right? What about?
It was one of those conversations that I wasn't included in, I'm afraid. All I can say is that come the morning, she left as stoic as she could be, although there was an air of sadness about her.
Was she
about
stoic or sad?
What about before that? You talked?
Regrettably, no. A lot of it is hearsay, from what Oswin ranted about in passing, though there's that same fiery charm in a few recordings of her in the operating theater, even when composed over an open wound.
Yeah, that sounds like her, all right.
He recorded her performing surgery in the lab? You think Dave would be interested in that?
Yeah. Let's see. The same fiery charm.
In an operating theater is literally where you do surgery, so...
Yeah. I immediately got slightly distracted because I just got a message. I was just texted by a housemate saying that they have COVID. And I'm like, no, not fucking now. I'm a little stressed because I'm about to go on a trip. I'm like, don't you fucking dare give me COVID. But like,
yeah.
I'm like I'm in the middle of like going through the cycles of like reassuring myself, like, you just got a booster. People always talked about like breakthrough cases because that's like, it's not normal to have a breakthrough case. You're supposed to, the fucking vaccine is supposed to help, and you just got your booster like before the last con. So you're probably resistant, so you probably aren't going to catch it to begin with. And I'm just like, I'm in that thought process right now because that happened while the episode was starting. I'm like, oh, I don't want to think about the idea of this con I've been leading up to for months, just going horribly wrong because I catch COVID during it, or symptoms I'm just gonna be paranoid for the whole trip now that symptoms will be manifesting or something. Like, motherfucker, I don't need this.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, I did like, it sucks we're in the middle of a revelatory moment, but I did kind of just like white noise, like pass through that moment of the narrative. It didn't absorb it. See, all reading is subjective, and don't trust your audience ever. Yeah, that sounds like her, all right.
I may be so bold, it's a wonder you're of her bloodline, all things considered. Although I suppose it's only natural seeing a child tend to be more like one parent over the...
It is?
Oh yes, Reginald was much like his father, Oswin his mother, and, well, you get the idea.
I guess so, sure.
Another thing, if I may, Dave. You've been awfully absent for most of the day. Outside of a blackout, so I hear.
Oh, yeah, just doing some investigating? That's how the license came up.
License came up while you were investigating. You didn't bring it with you.
No, it was...
You can talk about fucking Thanatos. He knows about Thanatos. Why are you being coy about this? This is literally doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's odd that we've specifically established that Benson and Thanatos know each other.
And literally have gone to each other for things, even though Benson and Thanatos don't like each other. Like, it's not a secret that Dave
Benson
knows Thanatos.
Brought Dave to Thanatos, so Benson wanted Dave to know about Thanatos, and would have been introducing him to him even if he hadn't met him yet.
Yes.
Where did it come from?
Thanatos. Thanatos gave it to me. His general hesitation all the time makes it confusing when he's withholding information and when he's just, like, padding for time by being socially awkward for a while.
Yeah.
I can see Benson's entire body stiffen, almost going rigid right to his jaw, that he had firmly clenched as he spoke his next words.
Of course it'd be the rat.
Well, that's just sorta... That's just it, sorta. He told me that he wasn't.
Abomination is what he is. Breathing life into that thing was a travesty that should not have been allowed to come to pass.
So you knew that he was a robot?
Yes. If it was just a normal rat, that is one thing. Or even a robot, Alright, hold on. I totally lost my place in the sentence. Or even a robot, plain as day. Combining the two has created the perverse creature that seems to like to torment us so.
Not that combined, it's just a robot.
Yeah.
Because he can remember everything.
And is equally forthcoming about sharing what he knows. Truth be told, if there was a way to shake him down for information, I would do so, but alas, he holds all the cards.
What?
I have no idea.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
He can remember everything and is equally forthcoming about sharing what he knows, but he's not. And the rest of the message is about how he's specifically not forthcoming.
And then the next part of the sentence, is him saying it's impossible to get information out of him.
Was it supposed to read as sarcasm? Because it just doesn't. Huh.
Yeah. But what would the equally forthcoming bit be about? That's my question. You don't start. This is like saying like, yeah, man. I have an appointment later,
and equally, I'm very hungry.
It's like that. What does it equal to? That doesn't make any sense. That is not how you just start a sentence like that.
I guess just shooting him wouldn't really help either, would it? Shooting him. Well, he's just a remote control.
Yeah, just blow him into bits. Just blow him into bits.
He's just an avatar.
It would disable his body, as it were, but the mind itself still resides elsewhere. Although I do suppose I would relish such a thing, given the torment he's caused over the years. Tell me, Dave, what else did the rat impose upon you for?
He caught me at the vault and figured if I wanted to try solving the password for today, he'd help out.
And did you?
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have without his urging either, to be honest. What I saw was surprising.
How bad is it?
Bad. Tyson seems to have gone feral and mauls Orlando during the full moon.
If that's the case, then I suppose we have no alternative, do we?
What do you mean?
Tyson is reckless. If he's able to take down Orlando as you saw, then who knows whom else he has claimed as a victim. Dealing with the problem now may make things easier.
Oh, okay. Maybe don't
just
talk
chill out.
I'm just like, maybe Dave shouldn't tell the assassin that Tyson's dangerous. And like, he didn't even talk to Tyson about it. Like, why wouldn't you talk to Tyson and Orlando even about the thing you saw before you talk to the assassin that's an assassin? Deal with him how?
Lethally. If worst comes to worst, I will put him down the moment I catch wind of something going wrong.
Bro, I know that everything's a nail to your hammer, but There are literally other solutions than lethally when you think someone might do something at a specific time. You could just... there's several ways to stop them that aren't lethal. In fact, he's drugged us before to knock us out when we freaked out. But also, like, you could just, like, lock a door. Whoa! There's so many other approaches. There's gotta be another way. How long until the full moon?
I don't know why you expect me to know that, my boy, even though I imagine it must be soon.
Please let me try and deal with it first. I've handled the others so far without anyone dying, so... except for Ozin. But there's gotta be a way forward without harming Tyson too, right?
With Oswin gone, it's my duty to keep you lot safe. If you truly wish me to stand down for this, I will to an extent, but I will not be holding back should he make the first move.
That's all I ask. Tyson's just as important to me as any of the others. I imagine Tyson's more important to you than any of the others. So there has to be a way out. Like, it's actually like, it's awful to hear the idea that any of them are equally important. Like Tyson is just as important to Dave as Haas. Some guy, as far as I can tell, that has no personal relationship with Dave and met him like a year ago, maybe, or less.
If anything, I think now would be a good time for you to head on inside for a bite to eat.
Really?
Of course. Go get a snack from the pantry. Find something sweet to lift your spirits before you do anything else.
It's the cure for Dementors. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I'll be inside shortly. Shouldn't be too long until dinner, so don't overindulge.
What a strange babying moment of like, the child is sad. Go get a candy. My treat. I wandered back inside and started to stare at the contents of the pantry, looking for something as a snack until dinner. Oh, hey. Did you just walk past them or did not notice them? The two largest people. Hey, Dave, what are you doing in the cupboard this close to dinner? I missed lunch. I also just always do what the last person told me to do.
Why?
You didn't hear? You know, he sighed out. You what? Something happened? I kind of passed out and needed to sleep suddenly. I guess I was more tired than I thought.
Normal people don't just pass out, Dave.
Okay. Dave. Why are you lying to them? They know about the vault. Sal is the route character. You know that's not what happened. Why are we keeping everyone... I don't... He just resets back to not telling people anything all the time. I don't... You sure you're okay? I promise, I'm fine. I just... Probably take it slow for the rest of the day is all.
You mean evening.
Right, that. What are you two doing here, though? We're on dinner duty tonight. I shot Sal a worried look, though he didn't seem to notice. People seem to be all over the place, so I was just gonna do burgers. They can come and go as they need.
Dean is all right at barbecue, although we're just going to use the stove.
Aside from planning dinner, did you two get up to anything today, or...?
Mostly just kept lookout.
Neither of us really felt right, lounging around with Benson doing most of the work. Not that we told him that we were doing, but it's a big area to cover by yourself.
Did give us some time to really catch up, though. hadn't had a proper chance to do that since arriving. Mostly due to everything going on.
And nothing happened? Nope. Peaceful as ever, which I don't know if that's more worrying than if we'd found out something or not.
I'm of the opinion we should be grateful for what peace we can find. To be honest, I'm looking forward to going home already.
Dean patted Sal on the shoulder before moving about the kitchen, getting things ready for dinner. It's just a weird confession. To be honest, I'm looking forward to going home already when... Yeah, we're trapped and there's a murderer. Everyone wants to go home, Sal. I took a seat while Sal and Dean figured out dinner. The two of them were chatting among themselves about something while I zoned out with my own thoughts. At first I thought I was going to fall asleep, but the sizzling and scent of cooked meat made me hungry, and I devoured the first burger slid across to me faster than I thought I would. He continued cooking while Sal cleaned up after him, and eventually, after another burger, I stumbled up to my room to collect my thoughts. I am never ready for a second burger. I don't know how anyone does that. That's wild to me. Unless they're sliders or something. Like, a burger is so much food. Laying back on my bed, my mind was racing. I thought back to what Benson had told me, and struggled to picture Oswin as someone that could break down and cry. Maybe you're lacking in emotional intelligence, Dave, if you continually can't accept the idea that people cry. Although they seem to be adults, or older adults, now that you're an adult. I think that Dave hasn't figured out that adults cry and struggle yet. He's little baby. He's such a baby. The same trouble that came with thinking my mother was in the same state. Okay, yeah, that. Apparently both had happened, but I just couldn't picture it. One was a mysterious, if grumpy-looking man. The other was my mother. A woman who liked cool things like motorcycles and heavy metal. Why does he conceptualize it like that? I promise you that Judas Priest has cried. It's happened.
Judas Priest is gay. Did you know that?
I did not know
The
that.
lead singer of that band he's gay. Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is.
All I know is fucking Painkiller is the most impossible to sing song. Jesus Christ. Look forward to that the next karaoke night. Much like how I couldn't imagine Tyson mauling Orlando, but that was what the vault had shown me, clear as day. Those are equally improbable concepts. Your friend murdering your friend, and adults having cried ever. Adults that you know have lost people? Because they're also your family, and and those are the people that died. I sat up quickly as Ty came into my room, closing the door behind him. Hey? Hey, so... I want to apologize. For earlier? Yeah. How's your head, though? Still fucking hurts. He wandered closer and dropped himself on the bed, grumbling. Pass out again, or was it just the once? Just the once. I'm feeling mostly just tired now, but part of that is because I've already had dinner. Shit. Thought I could smell someone cooking something. And you came and checked up on me first? Well, yeah, my brother? I shifted so I was sitting next to him and rested my head on his shoulder. I'm looking forward to when I get back to be home. When I get to be back home, I'm falling apart. I'm dying. Alright. I'm looking forward to when I get to be back home, I think. Sal said the same thing earlier, and I totally get it. Me too. We sat there for a few moments before I breathed in deep, and looking up at Tyson. He was calm, though, a stark contrast to what I'd seen in the vault. Them commenting on like, man, just can't wait to get through this and go home. They're talking like they're snowed in, and not what's happening. The life and death scenario. What? I got something on my face? No, just thinking? About what? Just what's gonna happen the next few days, that's all. Why? What's gonna happen? Hopefully nothing, but I don't know. If it does, I just want to be ready. And I'll get a gun or something, I don't know. How would that help me be ready? You think you'll be able to pull the trigger if shit hits the fan? Don't worry, I've got your back. I sighed out, rubbing my eyes as Tyson stood and wandered to the door. I'm gonna go get dinner. You want anything? Are you planning on sleeping? What? That's not the correct response, Dave. Your correct response is I just ate. I literally just ate 2 burgers 1 second ago and came here. Don't know yet. I might be up, might not be. Just feel free to check on me if you want to do something, though. You know. With a nod, he was gone, and I changed into something more comfortable for bed. Why is this response not just I ate 2 burgers and came up here and that's what happened? With the reception gone, it was hard to lay back and enjoy watching videos or something to doze off on my phone. But I made do with what few games I had installed. You can't fool me. There's no single-player phone games anymore. They're all live services that won't work now. Now that my attention remained on them for all that long... Oh, not that my attention remained on them for all that long. I soon found myself plugged in to recharge and rolling onto my side to get some sleep. 18.
We're still on path B, even after putting that password in.
Yeah, I think Massacre doesn't do anything or something. It's odd. It's an odd detail. I think the save updated to be path B when Oswin died, but I'm not sure.
Maybe, yeah.
I knew I was dreaming before I could question if I was awake or not. Home. It was the last thing I had been thinking of when talking to Ty before bed. It was the thing that I was holding on to as a safe place to return to. I found myself standing in the front yard of my street. It was familiar, it was safe, and it was something far removed from all my troubles at the mansion. But just thinking about my troubles made me remember what was looming over me in a couple of days, specifically how many I didn't know. But that was a job for the coming days. What? That's a weird way to put that. Okay. The Vault, or Thanatos, had told me that at least. The full moon was going to be the next marker in the next marker in when something was going to go wrong. Odd phrasing. If I hadn't seen it myself, I might not have believed him. Part of me wondered if I still did, knowing full well that Tyson wasn't a werewolf. He couldn't be. They just didn't exist. Okay, I'm glad you said that, Dave, because I wasn't sure if they existed in this setting. I needed someone to set up that they don't exist in this setting that has a dragon mafia that breathes fire. Like, the setting's weird enough that I do need someone to actually say that at some point. If anything, I don't trust the Vault visions as much, now that we've established that Thanatos is a character with motivations and who fucks with you. Like, if anything, that means that it's harder to believe that the Vault visions are things that are actually going to happen, because how do we know he's not just, like, making something up?
Yeah, beaming a radio into our heads that makes us pass out. No, fully, I'm there with you. I think that now every single pattern that we have learned in the game just isn't applicable, but also that isn't like a revelation. It's just a like, oh, it just didn't make sense because it just doesn't make sense. Gotcha. Okay. Like it's very weird to just get this. We're 18 days into this allegedly month-long trip, and we are finally learning maybe the beginning of how this thing works. Maybe.
Yeah, it's I'm somewhat questioning. Like on paper, it sounds cool for the Vault to be a character, but getting into it, when the Vault is a character, and it's also not like the Vault could have been like an unknowable alien creature, like that doesn't communicate in clear terms and doesn't seem to fully understand you, and you don't understand it, and so on. but it's just a petty little shit. It's just a dude. Like, Thanatos just acts like a dude and seems to fuck with you for fun. And so, like, now that just makes the output of the vault untrustworthy. And I don't know if that's the goal. I feel like the vault would still want to be treated. I feel like the vault is likely supposed to still be like true visions that are definitely real and so on. But when its avatar that is not which is not speaking for it, but is it, actively fucks with you and admits to it, and seems to like just pissing people off, and also like calls you a sucker for even doing the password and so on. I increasingly am like, well, then they're just fake. It's just a fake dream. That's why it's a werewolf, because it's just bullshit. And if that's in the cards, then the core conceit of the visual novel is in the air, because
then it's also just a coincidence that we saw the Sal thing, and that's why there's no pattern repeating with how we avoid the murders. It's literally just like, oh yeah, some things happen, maybe other things don't.
It's deeply ironic, because I had just talked about how bad it is to introduce uncertainty to me about whether or not the mechanic works the way it does or so on, because if I don't feel like I can trust the systems of a game. Speaking of games that are like mechanically driven, if I feel like I can't trust the systems anymore, then that will make me second guess it every time. Now you've increased uncertainty in this narrative that the password, which is the thing that the game is about seemingly, is this mechanic. Now you've introduced the idea that it's not necessarily a reliable narrator, which makes it useless. So I'm going to cling to the idea that they're just true no matter what, despite the fact that the person that is the source of them, or whatever he is, wants to fuck with you. I'm just gonna try not to think about that part, because it breaks the premise as far as we know it, and that I'm not sure what the goal is of introducing that.
Yeah.
The reality that he'd killed Orlando was hard to shake after I had seen the state of Orlando's body, and Tyson in the light of the full moon covered in blood.
So what are you going to do now?
Hearing the Thanatos in my dream talk sent chills up my spine. He was taunting me to do something. Not that I needed the encouragement. I was going to save Tyson and Orlando. I just need to figure out how. But the prospect made my head hurt, and as it surged through my system, the dream began to fade.
Come on, Junior. It's all on you now.
I knew it was, but the stress of worrying about screwing it up made my headache all the worse. As I opened my eyes, my head was killing me with a splitting headache, similar to the ones yesterday, but mild enough that I was able to at least sit up and ease myself into being awake proper. I had things I needed to do today, mostly just checking in on Ty, maybe Orlando, figuring out when the next full moon was. Then I had to follow up on why my parents were here and what the connection was. It had to be more than what I'd been told already, but maybe I was just being hopeful. Grumbling, I clutched my head and got out of bed, throwing on some clothes before grabbing my phone and making my way downstairs. By the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I realized how quiet it was for the time. Oh! Dean's voice echoed out from the dining room, alerting me to someone else, at least being up, but I followed the scent of coffee that hit me soon after into the dining room. What? Just very busy sentence, just too many things.
Yep.
You don't need to describe this many things. You don't need to describe him as following the scent of coffee when he literally is a voice came out, and he was thinking about how quiet it was, and then a voice announced Dean's presence. He goes to the voice. You don't need to also add him following the scent of coffee. That adds what I think is actually just an incorrect intent of what Dave's even doing right now and what his motivations are. It's just odd description of a scene. When I took my step into the dining room, though... well, we got a new face. Good morning. Before me was Dean, sitting at the table with a cup of coffee, but with him, standing on the table, was Thanatos, seemingly getting manhandled and none too happy about it. What are you doing? Was just enjoying a cup of coffee when this little guy showed up. Seems friendly enough. What makes you say that? Well, he hasn't bitten me yet. I looked at Thanatos, uncertain. All he did was give me a look somewhere between annoyance and a plea for help. Should you really be messing with a rat you found? What if he has a disease? Can't be a wild one, see? He has a collar. Makes him a pet, right? I mean, at least he had a reason. Because yes, handling a rat in the dining room is upsetting of a choice. Again, I looked at Thanatos, who seemed to just be ready to bite something, but had remained quiet this whole time. Maybe, but he doesn't seem to like you messing around with him like that. If he didn't, I'm sure he'd let me know. As if taking the invitation, Thanatos quickly bit down on Dean's hand, freeing himself. Ow! Told you. You're a lot bigger than he is. You might have hurt him. You think so? I don't see how I could have hurt him. Why not? Don't gaslight your friend. You know what's happening. You don't need to add intent. You could just be like, well, I guess he wants out.
Ow.
I turned to look at Roswell as he appeared in the doorway of the dining room, and then wandered over to the two of us at the table.
I didn't expect to see the two of you up.
His eyes were on Thanatos, now free standing on the table. The longer he stared, the more I wondered if Roswell had been stunned by something. What? Of course that's the whole premise of how he ended the sentence, and why he's staring at in a stunned silence, because he's stunned. Anyway, unless you mean stunned literally, like with a gun. Roswell?
Huh. Right, sorry. I was just surprised to see someone's pet rat here.
What do you mean by pet rat?
The collar.
That's what I said.
To who, Dean? To who?
To us.
Right.
He told us that it must be a pet because of the collar.
But, have you figured out who he belongs to?
I thought he said that literally with Roswell standing in the room. Wasn't the implication just now that Roswell's been in the room?
No, Roswell just walked in and then was like, oh, you guys
Gotcha.
are up. And then like the trailing off was him seeing the rat for the first time.
Oh, I just thought he was in the room when we were all talking, because he came
No.
into us being interrupted. So I was like,
No. Can you put a collar on a rat?
no. I mean, yes,
And
theoretically,
maybe-
but like, why would you?
I'm just thinking about, like, I guess they have a neck behind their head that like is narrow enough that it would stay on, I guess. I was trying to think about like how well it works. Not really. Just found him wandering in here, and when I was getting my coffee, just got bitten by it too.
Well, that's not good. Is it infected? The wound, I mean.
It doesn't happen that fast. I don't think so. It just hurt a bit. The smug little shit. Haha, I'm making them hypochondriacs.
All right, well, I guess just keep an eye on it. You don't know where that rat's been.
Well, if he's a pet, you'd think he'd be in a cage, right? You can tell that Grizz just had a lot of fun with Thanatos. Just clearly. He's just cycling through more emotions than ever before.
True, probably shouldn't let a rat wander around the place where we eat, though.
It is genuinely a strength of the format that you can, in a visual novel, have a character silently act while the story is happening.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen too much.
Come on, let's find you some cheese and get you out of here.
Roswell wandered over to the edge of the table and held his hand out to Thanatos. Almost too eagerly, he crawled up Roswell's arm and took his place atop his shoulder, giving me a look.
I'll be right back.
Don't make friends with
Roswell,
Roswell.
He's gonna put him in a jar. It's gonna be bad.
Time to open this sucker up. And off he went with Thanatos, although I caught the rat watching me and giving me a look as the pair of them disappeared into the kitchen. Did he really just take that rat that bit me on his shoulder? I think he did, yeah. That's not good. What makes you say that? You were having a time just playing with him before he bit you. True, but my hands are a little more callous than Roswell's face, I think. He's also not potentially crushing him in his grip either. Why do you have to just give Dean a fear that he's hurting people in his life with his monster hands? Like, leave him alone. He didn't do anything. You know for a fact, because you know Thanatos is intelligent and read his expressions, you know that he just didn't want to be caught. Speaking of, that rat's not normal. If I didn't know any better, it's probably robotic or some sort of toy? Well, that was fast. This does explain why Thanatos was so heavy. What makes you say that? I drew back slightly, eyes going wide at how quickly Dean had discerned the truth about Thanatos. In truth, it made me feel a little dumb that I didn't notice sooner. Two things, really. The weight and the biting force. It's a wonder Roswell didn't question it was a rat when it was on his shoulder. Are you familiar with how hard rats bite?
Did I hear my name?
No, go away.
Here, I brought you coffee, Dave. Enjoy. It's made of the rat.
Where's the rat?
Oh, the moment we got in the kitchen, he scurried off somewhere. Left out the back faster than I could really grab him.
Didn't think to give chase?
They're scheming.
Me? Well, chase to anything? Not likely. Still, Dave probably wants his coffee more than someone's pet rat, so...
Sorry, I lost your pet rat. Someone just comes through. Has anybody seen Scabbers? And then they just like, oh yeah, I had him, but I just didn't care. So I let him go. I drank from my coffee and wondered why Thanatos had come to the dining room. What was here? Was he waiting for someone? Not that I had much in the way of time to think about it before everyone else started arriving for breakfast. He's just a rat. He just exists. You catch him. It's easy. It just kind of happens. I'm not going to read into this.